This video will take you through the steps to complete Access Module 8 Project 8.4. So go ahead and download your start file, and you'll want to go ahead and open it. And then just go ahead and enable content and save it like you normally do. But now we're going to add in a step that we normally do not do. So we want to go back to File, and we want to go to Open. And we want to navigate back to that saved file. So I saved mine on my desktop, and now I'm just going to select that file. And rather than open it again, this time I want to open exclusive. So on the Open tool, you can use the little drop-down menu to click on Open Exclusive. Okay, so now we're ready to make changes for the rest of the project. So step 4 wants us to review the object dependencies for the fund closing prices table. So I'm going to double click the fund closing prices table. So now I have it open here. Now I can go to my database tools and click on object dependencies. And I get a little navigation pane over to the right, and it tells me that there's no objects depending on the tables, there's no queries depending on the table, there's no forms depending on this table, and there's no reports depending on this table. And so once we do that, we can move on to step 5, and we want to use the table analyzer to check for and eliminate redundant data. So again, database tools, this time we want to go to the Analyze Table tool, and we get the wizard. So the first few steps in the wizard is just going to take us through some basic information about the Analyzer wizard, and you can read through this. So after you read the first screen, go ahead and click Next, and then you can read the second screen, which talks about solving the redundant data problem, and then you can go ahead and click Next. This tells us the tables that there has redundant data in, and then we can go ahead and click Next. And we want to let the wizard decide the best option for our table and the redundant data. So we'll go ahead and click Next. Now we get this relationship window. And the first thing we want to do is name our tables. So we have a little editing tool here. So we have to click the table we want to edit. So I've clicked on table 1. Notice it's a little darker blue here. Now I'm going to click on edit, and we can change that table name. And make sure you spell it right. And make sure you have the correct capitalization and spacing. So I'm going to click OK. Now I want to name table 2. So same thing, click it to select it, and then click on the editing tool. And I'm just going to click OK. Now for the third table. And alright, so I have my tables named, so I can click OK. And now it tells us that we want to set a unique identifier in the closing prices with lookups table. So I'm going to go ahead and click Next. And now you notice that I can designate a unique identifier. So we have a unique identifier on the funds and funds types. So on the closing prices with lookup, we want to click on ID if you do not already have it selected, and then we just want to click on that set unique identifier. And now it puts that little key beside it. Alright, the other two tables should use a generated unique ID as the primary key, so we have that. And so step E, as you determined by reviewing the object dependencies pane, there are no database objects dependent on this fund closing prices table, so there is no need for a query. So I need to go ahead and click Next. So rather than create a query, we do not need to create a query. And we can go ahead and click Finish. And so the Commander action tile horizontally isn't available now. So we can just go ahead and click OK. And now we can go ahead and close the open tables. So it ended up opening, all 4 tables for us. And so I'm just going to go through and close each one. I'm going to close the object dependencies little navigation pane. And now it's telling us to delete the original fund closing prices table. So this is what we based the original consolidation on. So now we can just go ahead and delete this one. And I'm going to delete that table, and yes. Okay. So now step 6, we want to run the Analyzer Performance tool on all database objects at the same time. So this time we want to do the Performance Analyzer. So I'm going to select it, and it wants us to do it on all of the database objects. So we want to select all. So after we click on all object types, then we want to select all and then go ahead and click OK. And then it gives us a little list of results here, but it tells us do not implement any of them. So although we ran the Performance Analyzer, we're really not going to use that information. So now we can just simply click Close. Alright, for step 7, we want to create a custom navigation pane category called Public with a custom group named About Us to organize the company database objects. So we want to come over here to our navigation window, and just down below Reports in the white space, we want to right click and we want to click on Navigation Options. So we have the option here to add an item. So we want to add an item to the left text box, and this one we want to call Public. And now we want to add a group. So we can come over here to add group, and this one we want to call About Us. And then we just simply want to click OK. So now we want to add the following database objects to the new category and group. So to get to the new category and group, because you know right now it isn't visible, on the All Access Objects, we want to click on this More button, and we want to scroll down this list until we see Public, which is what we just created. Now we can see the Public navigation pane. And right now under About Us, there's not any tables, queries, forms, nothing listed here. So what it wants us to do is add the following objects to the new category. So About Our Company. So look through the list and find About Our Company and just click it to select it, and then you can click and hold to move it. And then we just want to move it up above unassigned objects. We want to do the same thing with Our Advisors. So I clicked it to select it, and now I'm just moving it up. And then the last one is Investment Products. So we want to make sure we get the Investment Products report, not the Investment Products table. Step 9 wants us to modify the Public navigation category and remove the unassigned objects group. So right now we have a list of objects here that are not part of the new navigation pane that we just added. So what we want to do to remove those is we want to go to the File tab, and we want to come all the way down the list to Options. And when we scroll down on the current database, we want to have that tab selected. We have Navigation. So we want to click on Navigation Options, and we want to come over here to Public, and then we can just uncheck Unassigned Objects, and that means simply that they will no longer be visible. So we can click OK here, and now notice when we are on our Public navigation window that we don't have objects on here visible that we don't want other people to see. Okay, so step 10, we want to make the following changes to the database startup options. So the first thing we want to do is set the database application title to Our Town Investors. So again, we want to navigate to our File tab. We want to go to our options, and again under Current Database, now we have the option to make some changes to our application. So our application title, we want to call that Our Town Investors. And then on step B, we want to display the About Our Company navigation form when the database is open. So when we come down here to display form, we click on that more option and we want to choose About Our Company. And then we want to disable layout view for forms and reports. So we want to scroll through this list and we want to uncheck Enable Layout View. Alright, so when you've made the changes, close the database and reopen it. Observe the startup changes. So I'm going to click OK here, and it's telling me you must close and reopen the current database for the specified option to take effect. So I'm going to go ahead and close it. And now I'm simply going to navigate back to my saved file. So I have it on my desktop, and I'm just going to double click it to open it. Now notice that when it opened, it went straight to this public navigation pane. Alright, so we want to view and save the relationship report. So on the relationship tools design tab, so we want to go to database tools, and in relationships, we want to click in the relationships group, and we want to click all relationships. So now, and we want to display all the database relationships. So I've clicked on relationships, now I want to click on all relationships. Alright, it wants us to move and resize the table boxes in the relationship window as necessary until all the table fields are visible in an attractive layout. So they're all visible in this one and this one. This one's a little confusing because we have that line going all the way across here. So I'm going to move it over and maybe move that over and move that up a little bit so that so it makes a little more sense visually. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is view the report. So we want to click on, let's see, relationship report. And now we have that relationship report open, and we just want to make a couple of, or at least one change. So we want to change the report orientation to landscape. So right now it's portrait. I'm going to click on landscape. And when you're finished reviewing the report, click the close preview button. So we're just going to click the close preview button, and we're going to go ahead and close the report. So, and when you are prompted, if you want to save the report, click yes, and you can save the report as relationship report. So we're going to go ahead and click yes, and we want to call this relationship report. And I'm going to click OK, and now we can then we can close the relationship window. Alright, so we want to use the database documenter to create detailed documentation for all the database tables. Alright, so we want to click on the Database Tools tab, and we want to click on Database Documenter in the Analyzer group. And so it wants us to choose all the database tables. So, So I'm going to click on Tables, and I'm going to select all. And then we want to review the report in Print Preview. So let's see. So we have it in Print Preview, and then you can click to zoom the report if you choose. So I'll zoom it maybe 150% so I can see it really well. And so we want to browse through the pages, so we can use our taskbar here at the bottom to navigate through the pages of the report. So on the Print Preview tab in the Data group, so we're in the Print Preview tab, I'm going to come over here to the Data group. Now if you want to, you could certainly export this as a PDF or XPS file. But I am not asking you to do that, so you can skip that step. Now we can just close this preview window. Now at this point, you're finished with this project, so you can go ahead and save it. So click your Save tool on the Quick Access toolbar, close it, and you are ready to submit. If you have any questions or need some additional help, feel free to send me an email or give me a call.